The lobby was quiet, just after 8 a.m., before most of the staff arrived. A few early risers shuffled past with coffee cups and half-read emails on their phones. No one looked twice at the man pushing the supply cart. Blue coveralls, work boots, a keyring that jingled faintly when he moved. He nodded politely as he stepped into the elevator. No one greeted him back. He didn't expect them to. The elevator was nearly empty. A junior analyst stepped in on the next floor. She barely glanced at him, then turned toward the mirrored wall, adjusting her blouse. She assumed he was maintenance, maybe someone fixing a light fixture upstairs. He stood still, calm. When the doors opened at the executive floor, she stayed put. He stepped out. She blinked, watched the doors close behind him, then frowned, quietly wondering what a janitor was doing up there. The executive assistant at the front desk didn't look up at first. She was typing fast. A schedule on one screen, email on another. When she did glance up, her expression shifted. "You're in the wrong place," she said, not unkindly, just sure of herself. "Maintenance is downstairs." He didn't react. "I'm here for the 8:30, he said. She looked confused. "The board meeting?" He nodded once. She gave a small laugh, waiting for the joke to land. Didn't. She hesitated. Something about the way he stood, still centered, unsettled her. Not nervous, not confused, just there. "You're with catering?" she guessed, trying to find a box to put him in. "No," he said simply. She stood slowly, eyeing his name badge. Except he wasn't wearing one. "No badge, no suit," she said, folding her arms. "You can't just walk in here." "I didn't walk in," he replied. "I used my key." Her hand hovered over the phone. "I can call security," she said, more uncertain now. He looked at her, not angry, not smug, just patient. "You can," he said. "Or you can call Mr. Alvarez. Tell him David is here." The name made her pause. Mr. Alvarez was the board chair. She picked up the phone slowly, dialing with deliberate fingers. Her voice was lower now, unsure. "Sir, someone named David is here. Says he's here for the meeting." Silence on the other end. Then, "Let him in." She stood up straighter, flustered. "This way," she said, leading him toward the boardroom. Her heels clicked fast across the marble floor. She didn't look back. He followed at an even pace, hands still in his coverall pockets. A senior VP passed them in the hallway, gave the janitor a quick glance, then looked away. No recognition, no greeting, just another invisible man. Until they reached the frosted glass doors of the boardroom. Inside, voices quieted. Heads turned. Someone whispered, "Why is maintenance in here?" No one answered. David stepped inside. The room was full, 11 board members, the CFO, 2 legal advisors. Suits, laptops, polished shoes. Conversations trailed off as David entered. Mr. Alvarez stood slowly. "David," he said with the slightest nod. "Right on time." A few heads turned sharply at that. Someone at the far end of the table squinted. "Wait, David who?" Alvarez didn't answer. Instead, he gestured to the head of the table. "Your seat's ready." David walked past the long row of faces, some confused, some irritated. He pulled out the chair at the head, sat down, quietly, like he belonged, because he did. No one spoke, not yet. A junior board member leaned toward the woman beside him, whispered, "Who is he?" She shook her head, eyes fixed on David. The CFO cleared his throat, forced a polite smile. "I think there's been some mix-up." David looked at him, calm. "No mix-up." The room tensed. Mr. Alvarez stepped forward, placing a file on the table. "This is David Lang. As of last week, majority shareholder. Appointed CEO, effective today." A pause, then a scoff, soft but sharp. "You're joking." David didn't flinch. "No," he said. "I'm not." One of the older board members leaned forward, his voice tight. "This isn't how things are done." David met his eyes. "How are they done? You don't just show up like this. In that." He motioned at the coveralls. "This is a boardroom, not a boiler room." David nodded slowly, as if weighing the words. "I've spent time in both," he said. "And I've seen more honesty in the boiler room." A few glances shifted, some embarrassed, some curious. The man opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. David didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. David opened the folder in front of him, pulled out a stack of documents, slid them forward. Financials, performance reports, HR memos. Before anyone asks, he said, yes, I've read everything. Every complaint. Every missed target. Every bonus issued after layoffs. No one moved. I started as a contractor here 12 years ago. Night shifts. Cleaning offices none of you stayed late enough to use. A few people shifted in their seats. I listened. I watched. And I learned quietly. He looked up. Now I'm here. Not to punish, but to rebuild. Still no one spoke, but they were listening now. A woman near the center of the table finally spoke. Soft voice but firm. Why didn't you say who you were? David turned to her. Would you have listened if I had? She hesitated. He continued, if I'd walked in here yesterday in a tailored suit, you would have shaken my hand. Smiled. Said welcome aboard. Another board member muttered, appearance matters. David nodded. It does. That's the problem. A few eyes dropped to the table. Others watched him more closely now. No one was laughing anymore. Respect was creeping in. Slowly. Uneasily. But it was there. Mr. Alvarez cleared his throat. We brought David in for a reason. Another board member, one who hadn't spoken yet, leaned forward. So what happens now? David's voice stayed level. We stop managing from spreadsheets and start leading from the ground. He gestured around the room. Some of you won't like the changes. That's fine. I'm not here to be liked. A beat. I'm here to fix what's broken. The air shifted. Not agreement, but attention. The kind people give when they realize the room isn't theirs anymore. He had it now. The room. The floor. The future. One man stood. Tall, stiff. A veteran board member. I don't agree with this, he said. This kind of leadership undermines the structure we've built. David didn't blink. Then you're welcome to step down. The man hesitated, clearly not expecting the offer to be so direct. You're serious? Completely. A pause. Then the man walked out. Quietly. The door clicked shut behind him. No one else moved. David looked at the others. Anyone else? Silence. Not from fear, something else. The kind of stillness that comes when people start questioning everything they thought they understood and begin to listen. The meeting ended without applause, without argument. Just quiet. As the board members filed out, some gave David nods, cautious, curious. Others avoided his eyes. Mr. Alvarez stayed behind. You handled it well, he said. David shook his head slightly. No. I handled it directly. Alvarez smiled. Same thing sometimes. David looked out the window. The city buzzed below, unaware that a company had just changed direction without anyone raising their voice. Let's hope they're ready, Alvarez said. David turned back, calm. They don't have to be. I am. Then he walked out. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Downstairs, David returned to the small room near the loading dock. The supply cart was still there. His name still taped to the locker door. He didn't take it down. Not yet. He sat at the worn desk, opened his laptop, and began typing a memo. Staff-wide meeting, Monday morning. Everyone invited from executives to janitors. No titles. No seating chart. Just one question on the agenda. How do we treat people we think are nobody? He hit send. Then leaned back in the chair no one ever noticed before. Smiling. Because now they would.